welcome back to Visited by Voices Live, just talking genre. I'm joined, of course, by Sam,
What up?
and we have a special guest that's going to join us for about an hour of discussion of all things in the state of the horror nation.
Wow. What an intro.
That I made 4 minutes ago and finished rendering right as you actually entered the studio.
Man, geez, I don't know how to follow that up.
Well, we can just run that every time you're supposed to speak if you'd rather.
Okay, that'd probably be it. That'd probably be better.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you? And Sam, how are you?
I'm going through my own version of body horror right now, which means like I've been struck down not by Smooth Criminal, but by like some TMJ pain, and it's like my first time, so it's like, oh my god, my TMJ cherry's been popped, and I hate it because most of you guys know that I have a thing about teeth, and I'm obsessive about mine, right? Like I give these motherfuckers two different toothpastes. I have one in the evening to protect my enamel, and then I have one in the morning to whiten. And both of those I've had to experiment with to find ones that won't like irritate my gums. So I have some weird TMJ pain because I grind my teeth in my sleep because just like my levels of anxiety are always through the roof. So
Do you wear
just got a night guard. It's improving. Like this is probably the first day in about a week. Like since the last time I was on region free, like that's when it was starting to annoy me a little bit. And like that Friday after, it kind of just started going downhill. So I've been like being a big fucking baby about this. And so I'm just like, I got the Plackers night guards. And I also, because I was like, am I going to swallow a Placker night guard? What happens if I do? Oh, it'll pass through. Cool. Okay. And I got like one of the football night guards that you have to boil and fit it to your mouth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
we can either sleep or play lacrosse.
Yes. Possibly at the same time. But what's even okay, so everybody has those weird irrational anxiety thoughts, right? You know, that like when you look back on them, they're like, wow, that was insane of me. So a couple of the ones that I've had this week are like, is my jaw dislocated because it seems slightly off balance? Like my jaw feels off, right? And I'm like, what does a dislocated jaw feel like? Would I know if I dislocated my jaw? And then after like I used one of the night guards for the first time, the next day I was feeling pretty good. And then that evening I was like, oh no, what if I'm gonna die? Because I've heard that it's like before you die you don't have any pain, everything's fine. So
how would anyone know?
Well, I had a friend who she passed away due to surgery complications on the toilet, and her husband was helping her, and he said that she was fine, and she said that she was feeling really good, and then he helped her to the toilet. He turns around to get her something, and he turns back, gone.
A friend of mine's father died, and his mother, my friend's mother, the guy's wife, told almost the exact same story. Like he was an older guy, dealt with pain, but he was like, this day he was just so happy and pain-free and just, it was a great day. And then after dinner, finishes his meal, sits on the couch, gone.
Yeah, it's like these are the things that will just, they stick with you. So, but I mean, when you look back in retrospect, it's, that's a crazy thought to have because of TMJ pain.
I had to Google what TMJ was because I wasn't sure if that was like a female ailment or what that was. So I had to Google it, and I get it. I get it.
Yes, you have a TMJ as well, Piz and Lauren. Everybody has got the TMJ. I mean, I have the pain, but we all got one.
But look, dental hygiene is very important. That was something that my mother stressed to me as a child. I remember many evenings her holding me in a headlock and brushing my teeth violently to make sure that they were clean.
With the wire brush, right?
I don't remember.
The one you use to get the corrosion off of the battery leads.
Possibly, if she thought it would work, yeah.
Well, you want that vibration. That's how you get them cleaner.
Yeah. So I've always dental hygiene's always been a major thing for me. So, and Lauren, you're good.
Sure.
You can't follow that up. Just,
No.
I'm good. I'm good.
It doesn't matter what I say at this point. Nah, I've been a little under the weather, but I'm good. Don't worry.
Good.
It's that time of year.
I have something to cheer you up also, Lauren.
Ah, look at that.
Peak narcissism right there. Me wearing a shirt with my face on it.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I'm so proud of myself. Oh, there it goes. It's gone through the roof again.
Dan wants to get us started here. He says, what's the last film you've watched?
Well, before that, we narcissists must stick together. Here's my coffee cup with my face on it.
Ooh.
So
we'll play it.
I'm smart enough not to wear or drink from anything that has my face on it. No one needs that in their life.
I think it would be great if we had Visited by Voices mugs, but they were shaped like your head, like your face head, like, not your face head. Yeah, your face head.
My face head.
Your face.
I think that's a t-shirt right there. Shaped like your face head.
Yes. Yeah. No, but it's just like, just cut off the top of your head and just drink out the top of Lauren, looking disagreeable. I would buy that.
Yeah.
I know we're supposed to be talking about the last movies we've watched. What'd y'all watch?
I watched Wormwood Apocalypse, the long delayed sequel to Wormwood Road of the Damned, Road of the Dead. It's very much like the first film. It's hyperactive. It's very, 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 very grisly. And it's so Australian that you almost believe that your pets have turned into wombats and kangaroos by the end of watching it. It's also overload, just like the first film. Like, you get to a certain point and you're like, maybe it should have slowed down for a while. I'm not talking like Terminator 2 visits the desert for a half hour. It slowed down, but a little bit would have been okay, because it is a blur of motion and sound and fury. I do recommend people watch it. It is pretty uncompromising in its vision, but maybe just as I get older, I like to breathe during movies. I don't know.
Is that streaming somewhere right now yet?
I imagine so. I know that it is.
Yep. Yeah, Amazon's already got it.
Yeah.
I've not seen either one.
It'd be interesting to do it as a double feature, but you're going to be exhausted by the end of it. Part of the concept is that when people become zombified, their breath becomes so much of a hydrocarbon that you can use it as fuel.
Wow.
I like that idea.
So people are running cars off zombies.
Interesting.
It's very Australian, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, no, I watched that, and then I did some comfort watching before that. But let's find out what you guys' most recent films have been. Sam?
I watched Shark Bait. That was the last thing that I watched, which was yesterday morning, I think. And so, I mean, it is standard shark movie fare. A bunch of spring breakers go out, and oh no, a jet ski collision. Oh no, they're stranded, and oh no, right? So, it was decent, actually. I enjoyed it more than a lot of other shark movies. Definitely better than The Requiem, and the shark looks better, so that helped. But I did really like the main actress, and her name escapes me. But I it's been a while since I've seen the super innocent, very sheltered girl have to really deep, dig deep down to find her strength, and I'm like, that was good. It was kind of like a, just a nice little palate cleanser. Haven't seen it in a while. Kind of harkens back to, some of she kind of reminded me a little bit of Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street. Just a smidge. But
I could have watched Shark Bait, but I'm so shark phobic now after the Requiem and House Shark. Like if it's a shark movie that's not called Jaws, I'm just like I start to
Whoa,
trim.
whoa! Don't be hating on The Shallows.
Oh, The Shallows was good.
Shallows
that
is
was good.
really, really great.
But yeah, I have PTSD when it comes to shark movies now.
Well, if you want to watch this one, I agree. Like to a certain point, I was like, well, the characters are the dumbest things ever because they completely create their own nightmare. But the movie's actually really well made until the shark just starts taking chunks out of the jet ski just randomly and biting legs, and it gets really silly for its final act. But yeah, no, I mean, whatever. I like myself a cheap ass shark movie. So
Yep. Chris, what about you?
Let's see. I actually started watching Monstrous this afternoon, the new Christina Ricci movie, directed by Chris Syvertson, who did The Lost, which I love. The freaking Lost, love that movie. But I got a work call and I had to follow up on it, and I only got about halfway through. But yeah, I was liking what I was seeing up to that point. I actually watched. I thought I'd already seen Girlfriend from Hell, but I'd mistook it for another movie that's kind of similar that used to come on USA Up All Night all the time. And so I watched Girlfriend from Hell for the first time last night. And I mean,
brilliant.
Such a fun, ridiculously fun movie. I love the dude from Twin Peaks, Dana
Ashbrook.
Yeah. He was great. Just such a fun movie.
That movie, I've loved it since the VHS days. Like, I own it on Laserdisc. Now I did buy the DVD, Blu-ray. I mean, it's just awesome.
Yeah,
and they made it for 4 cents, and you looks at, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt the movie a bit.
And I swear that's the exact same house that they filmed Dream a Little Evil in. I'm almost positive that's the exact same house, which I don't think anybody's seen Dream a Little Evil. YouTube it, you'll never forget it. But yeah,
Leanne Curtis, man, how about that performance from Leanne Curtis? That's Academy Award nomination.
Oh,
right
sure,
there.
Yeah. I don't. For some reason, I thought it was so endearing that like the devil fell in love with this guy who God had sent to hunt the devil, and
well,
he had this weird. I don't. There was something about that. I was just like, this is crazy, but I love it. Like whoever wrote this, they were on some really good drugs, but they were really inspired.
Dan Peterson. But yeah, I mean, hey, any movie that puts God on screen as a bureaucrat who has blackmail Polaroids.
Yep. Pretty good stuff.
It's pretty much, it's its own thing too. There's nothing really to compare that movie to.
There's really not. No, not that I can think of.
No, that's an incredible first watch. That I'm jealous. I'd love to watch it for the first time again.
Yeah, great stuff. I mean, I'm looking forward to kind of revisiting, because I really had no idea what to expect. And like I said, I thought I'd seen it, but it was a different movie about an evil possessed girlfriend. But yeah, but really, really enjoyed it.
Do you want to hear something really bizarre about that movie?
Sure.
15 years after the movie comes out and no one's talking about it, there was an off-Broadway production of it.
I can see that happening. Yeah.
So good.
That's great.
Okay.
I also watched the new Arrow Blu-ray for Girls Night Out, and for some reason I found a cheap DVD of The Redeemer, Son of Satan.
Oh, okay.
And I decided to rewatch that for the first time in many years last night too. So I had a little marathon going last night.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Redeemer's a weird film.
Very, yeah.
Doesn't quite work to my memory, but it wasn't a painful experience at all. It just never quite connects its own dots.
Pretty much, yeah. And there's been a lot of movies that have either directly or indirectly kind of copied it, because it doesn't quite work, and you could tell the director thought he was really making some deep stuff here about you know what I mean,
Catholicism and
exactly, yeah. But
you can't all be Fulci, okay?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Girls' Night Out is a weird one for me because definitely saw it back in the day on VHS. It's a weird movie because it doesn't. It tries as hard as it possibly can to not feel like a slasher at times.
Mhm.
And then when it wants to be a slasher, it's kind of goofy in how it's going about it. So it's almost like someone told the writer-director, like, this is what a slasher is, but he'd never actually seen one. It feels like someone just blindly trying to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's kind of slow in spots. The killer in the bear costume with the steak knives is ridiculous fun, and just all the relationship drama. There's so much relationship drama in that movie. It's crazy. But I noticed about the movie that I thought was very unique to it, especially among slashers at that time, and even slashers today, is, usually it's the guys who are the horn dogs and who are trying to hook up with all the girls, and it's the women who are very emotional about the relationships and whatnot. In Girls Night Out, it's the complete opposite. These women are like, they're hot to trot, and it's the guys who are like, but I love you, and yeah, I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool.
So,
I'm not going to comment on that.
So, did you make it, or did you even attempt to make it out to the theater to see the Doctor Strange Sam Raimi movie?
No, I didn't. I thought the trailer looked good. I asked Jeremy if he wanted to go, and he said no.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I guess let's just dive right in and avoid spoiling it too much for Piz, maybe? Or Piz
No.
is a bit spoiled?
No, go right ahead.
It's a superhero movie.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so we took Mom for Mother's Day to go see it because she loves the Marvel movies, and she really likes Doctor Strange. And at this point, she, cognitively, she's going downhill pretty quick. But even she was like, that was cheesy when we left the movie. And I mean, a lot of people did mention that on Twitter, but some people were defending it as that's the point of the movie. And I'm thinking it's supposed to be like more cheesy Sam Raimi. And I mean, it's just all a bunch of Evil Dead callbacks. And of course, we have to deal with Bruce Campbell getting a cameo in there because sure, but at least he's punching the shit out of himself, which is fun. It was okay. I enjoyed it, but okay, so y'all know I've been looking forward to this movie for the longest fucking time because I love Scarlet Witch. This was not exactly like full-blown Scarlet Witch, like in the scene in Endgame where everybody's coming back and she confronts Thanos and she says that he took everything from her, and of course that Thanos doesn't know who she is because timelines and whatnot. So, and it's a different Thanos. But then she gets super pissed off, and it's like you can feel that rage, and I didn't feel that rage in this movie because, like, from Jumpstart, she's already at the end of WandaVision. You see her studying the Darkhold because she has actually become the Scarlet Witch, and she's just evil from go. And I mean, fine, but it didn't maybe I know Elizabeth Olsen's a good actress, but I did not feel like the amount of rage. I thought she did a good job, but just I don't know. I think I'm expecting way too much out of Scarlet Witch. Like I keep wanting her to behave more like a Red Lantern, and that's not going to happen. But we didn't get a full-blown crazy Scarlet Witch here. And the ending, if you've seen it, is kind of disappointing because it's like, well, now what? And some people are like, well, is Scarlet Witch dead? And I say no. Only because, I just feel like there's more left to it. Lauren, I know you're not a comic book guy, but yes, I want to hear everything.
No, but I mean, but here's the thing. I want to talk more about Raimi necessarily than this movie. I think it's fascinating that Raimi has not found his third act very clearly. Like his first third of his career is the horror film, right? And then he gets to, let's say, Darkman as kind of the capper of that, and that's where he's trying to. That's his seeking into the '90s and into the Spider-Man films, which was clearly the second act. But in there, you also have his serious dramas, and you have other things that he's showing what he can do as a filmmaker. But as he enters that age where most filmmakers are supposed to be making the stuff that kind of defines their legacy, kind of like, because I mean, let's be honest. If you think of Kubrick, you're not thinking of the first 20 years necessarily. You're thinking of basically from 1980 onward.
Mm-hmm.
It's just weird. Like he's making Wizard of Oz movies for Disney, and he's making Marvel movies that are like all on green screens, and there's all the fight scenes were already manufactured in the computer before he ever cast the movie. This is a weird place for a director who I thought always had a really strong voice to end up, because it's kind of voiceless now to me.
Well, did it feel like a Sam Raimi movie, or did it feel like another Marvel movie?
Oh, it felt Sam Raimi-ish.
Did it?
But, like, Danny Elfman did the music, which I didn't hear anybody talk about. And there are very, very few instances where you can see that come through. Like, it feels like with the music, that's Marvel music with a teeny bit of Danny Elfman. And I'm like, that's a missed opportunity. You got Sam Raimi directing and Danny Elfman doing your music, and it's your first horror movie. And I'm just, I will say, like, I enjoyed the opening sequence with Shuma-Gorath, and I'm going to continue to call him Shuma-Gorath. I don't give a fuck. We all know who it is. Fuck Gargantos. But I know, I'm so sorry.
That's a Robert Howard character, by the way, that they co-opted for a freaking comic book.
Well, no, but I mean, Shuma-Gorath figures into Doctor Strange in the comics, as far as I'm aware.
Well, because so it started in the Conan comic, which was an adaptation of Howard, and then they brought the character over to Doctor Strange, which is my understanding.
Yeah, but Gargantos is a fucking sea creature, I think.
Is it?
I'll say, like, I checked, I was kind of trying to figure out the difference. It's weird. So, like, Gargantos, the shape of it, even though it's very similar to Shuma-Gorath, like, the shape of Gargantos, I'm going to just, give me just a second. I have to, because I was watching the Pam and Tommy thing on Hulu recently. I binged that. It was really fun. I swear there's a...
Talk about tentacled monsters.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, in Pam and Tommy, there's a part where he's talking to his penis, and it's like he's got his dick out, and it's just like wiggling around and, talking back to him because he's rolling on Molly, or whatever. I don't know these fancy drugs like MDMA or ecstasy. You guys can help me out with that if you want. Yeah, so I was just like Googling like Gargantos, and like the first thing I come up with is this thing, and it fucking looks like fucking Tommy Lee's dick. And I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Piz, do you have any idea or want to know where this is going? Because
I have no idea.
Anyway, it's a one-eyed monster regardless. But the opening scene with Shuma-Gorath was fun for me. And I like the fact that Scarlet Witch summoned it to go get America Chavez. And I'm like, sweet, Shuma-Gorath is Scarlet Witch's pet. And because I used to, when I played Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Shuma-Gorath was not on my regular roster, but I'd sub him in when I got bored with like Venom, Morrigan, and BB Hood, swap one of them out. So, also, you get to see like his giant eye get plucked out of him. That was fun. And then the rest of the movie's just okay-ish. But I did get I also did the whole like punching the air thing, like when Professor X showed up. I mean, for 5 minutes. But yeah.
I heard it was John Krasinski, wasn't it?
No, Patrick Stewart was Professor X. John
Krasinski. Oh no, he was the Fantastic Four guy. That's right. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like a little nostalgia bait because it's like you just see his wheelchair and you hear the X-Men animated series from 97. You hear that opening do 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 do, and yes, I marked out really hard. And then when he uses his psychic abilities, you can actually see the rings like coming out of his mind. And I'm like, That's the X-Men iteration I like right there. Thank you. I mean, that was fun until like Scarlet Witch went full Deadite and actually like ripped his face in half, which you have to slow. Which somebody actually went to the trouble of freezing on Twitter to point it out. Like she's got a demon face, his head's in half, like his face, like she rips the head in half. It's not a broken neck per se.
Mm. So is it? I heard people complaining on Twitter that it was too dark, and that they should have been warned that it was going to be dark and scary or whatever.
I don't know what these people want when they like. I mean, it's been touted as Marvel's first horror movie. And it's directed by Sam Raimi. What would you people like?
I mean, I'm sure those people have no idea who Sam Raimi is. They're there for Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of gore in it for a Marvel movie, and I mean, I enjoyed Scarlet Witch slaughtering people, but again, it's just like the ending is just.
Well, you got to set that confusion for the next movie, right? Get people to show back up in 4 months or whatever it'll be before they have another one of these things out.
Did it feel like messy? Because I've heard people say like it's very like you can tell the lot was reshot, and it's just kind of messy from a narrative point of view.
I mean, somewhat. Honestly, I think the complaints that I'm seeing on Twitter were like, Doctor Strange is a cut because he has to babysit America Chavez the whole movie because he was just babysitting Peter Parker in No Way Home. And and he doesn't actually kill Scarlet Witch. She has to destroy herself, but I don't think that's what I don't think she's dead anyway.
This sounds almost more like a Scarlet Witch movie than a Doctor Strange movie.
No, it is a Doctor Strange movie. There is just Doctor Strange is pretty much in that movie for the majority of it, but Doctor Strange has got the whole thing with Christine. He's still hung up on her, and then the whole new "I love you 3000" is "I love you in every universe," because in every universe he never gets with Christine. All of the universes he doesn't get with Christine.
Wait. You're telling me the guy is one of the most powerful magic users in the world and he can't figure that shit out? I mean, listen, if you can't impress the girl with a card trick,
or a tie that can tie itself.
Yeah, I mean, you got to let that one go, I think. But yeah, I got to tell you, this is something I've noticed, though, is that Marvel has to get out of this rut because it's bad fucking writing. Is that stop making your heroes cause the problems.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's freaking old. You can pull that crap like once and make it a moral story, but with the collateral damage that happens in these movies, even once is probably too much. Mm-hmm. Like, really, whether it's that second Avengers movie where Tony Stark basically destroys a city because he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Or any appearance of the Hulk ever. Like, it's just not worth it. The governments of the world need to get together and just wipe these people out. Not worth it.
Oh my God. Okay. Team Tony Stark in Civil War over here. I'll be over here with Captain America.
They need to hire the bad guys.
Hell yeah.
To go kill the good guys. Because the good guys are the ones. Yeah, the good guys are the ones.
Suicide Squad.
We need a Marvel Suicide Squad that, where you've got, like, I don't know, Thanos leading the charge, him and Loki, to kill all the Thor and all the good guys. They're the real jerks.
Robert Long actually kind of rocks here. I thought the New Mutants was the first Marvel horror movie. Not only that, I actually liked that movie.
I did too.
But I think it tanked, didn't it? So they're going to pretend like it didn't exist.
Right, because it was delayed over 2 years from release and everyone got their jabs in on it. And it's not perfect or anything. But for a superhero film, I thought the character work was really actually pretty good. The stakes were pretty clear. It wasn't the whole world is going to die. It was these 5 kids need to like survive this and get to some kind of safe mental place. I just thought I don't know. I'm tired of the whole world is going to die and all these things too.
I thought it was really interesting they made Cecilia Reyes the villain in that movie. And I was, obviously there's hints at Mr. Sinister, which I was really excited about because I just want Mr. Sinister on the screen, but they'll probably ruin it like they ruined Gambit. Anyway, I thought it was interesting that they made her the villain, since like way back in the day, I remember some of the earlier, some X-Men comics that I picked up, and I don't know which ones they were, but I remember her being part of the team, making force fields. Like, that was her thing. She was more of like a healer protector. I'm like, oh. But then I fell off, so I obviously have no idea of what happened to her character in the comics. Maybe it's closer there.
So can we talk about a Christina Ricci movie so that my head doesn't explode?
Yes, we can. Thank you for letting me get all that nonsense out of my system.
Now, Piz, I know you only saw the first half of Monstrous, so we won't ruin the
Yes.
second half, but you are looking at a great third act, like a great third act.
Mm.
So if you like the movie up to this point, I think it's pretty safe to say you're going to really like the remaining runtime. But I wanted to point out that it's not an ambitious film at all, but you know what? It's the kind of film that used to happen in Hollywood, whereas they say, okay, we're going to tell this type of story. You've seen it before, but we have this star that we're going to put the whole movie on his/her shoulders, and they're going to make it work for us.
Yep.
Remember when there was movie stars that could do that? This movie completely is that thing. It's like put anyone else in her role, it probably doesn't work. And it's kind of great for that. And then it does a cool thing in the third act that, while not revolutionary by any means, is done so well that you're going to be like, wow, that's really satisfying. So
yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit, and it's like, yeah, I mean, Lauren, I mean, I know you mentioned that it really doesn't change anything. It's not breaking really new ground per se, but I did like it as a whole. It's shot like a dream for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the best part of the movie for me was watching Christina Ricci have all this time to herself to be this character. That was wonderful.
Yeah, and it's sad that like everyone likes her as an actress that I find. It's very rare to find someone who's like, she's bad. I won't watch anything she's in. But Hollywood has zero clue what to do with her. So like small direct to streaming horror film is the best she can get at this point.
I think she's at that age where, it's like, because I mean she's the mom in this movie, but it's like I don't know if she necessarily fits into the mom role yet, but she's not going to be like the, she's not going to be in the next Marvel movie as like the new Captain Marvel or anything. So I don't know. I think she's in that, I don't know, because she's always been good in everything, and she chooses interesting roles, which I think that can probably hurt her too. She'd rather do like a small, more charactery movie like, I don't know, Buffalo 66 or Pumpkin, as opposed to, like a, I don't know, a bigger, popcorn movie.
And when she has done those bigger movies, something that's going to get a big theatrical release, like Bless the Children, she's in like 2 scenes and it's in and out, right? And she's the best part of the movie.
Or she ends up in Cursed, and it takes 2 years out of her life to.
Let's go there. Let's go there, because I have plenty to talk about Cursed because everyone's talking about it at the moment.
Cursed. She's the only, like, she makes that movie watchable.
Yeah, but I mean, that movie is a perfect example of something that should not exist. It is just problematic on every front. I don't mean that from a PC standpoint. I mean, like, as a viewer watching it, it's just like constantly frustrating and angering you as a viewer. It's a mess. It's as bad as, I think it might be one of the worst horror films of the decade it was released in.
It's better than American Psycho 2, because I watched that right after American Psycho. The drop off in quality between those two movies is like watching the Luna token crash. Holy fuck.
It's been a while since I saw American Psycho 2, but I
It's literally the worst. I'd rather watch Black Christmas 2019 again. I'd rather watch The Craft Legacy again.
Oof.
I felt that way before Morgan J. Freeman decided to open his stupid fat mouth on Twitter. Anyway, but back to Christina Ricci, because that's much better. That's much better. That's a much better topic.
Well, I mean, Curse seemed like a movie that couldn't fail. I mean, I'm sure, Christina Ricci or her people probably thought, oh my God, this is, Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven teaming up again. This will turn into another big series for them, and she's the star, and we'll be rolling in dough, and then what happened.
Yeah, and a whole lot of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's weird because we always decry this, but it seems like something gets a nice new shiny edition out, and suddenly people are talking about it being a hidden gem just because it's old and has a new release.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I tolerate that as like, okay, nostalgia is a powerful thing. It's not as powerful for me as it is for other people on most things. On some things, I'm like completely irresponsibly nostalgic, and I fully admit that. But in the case of a movie like this, I can't see how that works. Like, the movie's just that messy.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, unless you, well, I mean, I don't think you can even. I think the very first Cursed movie that they wanted to make had a decent idea. It could have been okay, but then it just went through all these mutations, and then it got to where it is now, and it's just this Frankenstein of a movie that just, I mean, there are people out there who like it. I think they like it more for the cast. I mean, for Christina Ricci and Judy Greer, and than the movie itself, maybe.
It's bad when the Ginger Snap sequels are far better than a film that's by supposedly an A-list horror director.
Yeah. But that was, I mean, that was a mess from the beginning, according to Patrick Lussier. When he was on my, when I did that Bloodstream with him, he said it was just a mess from the beginning. Nobody wanted to make it. The script wasn't very good. And, they tried to make lemonade out of lemons or whatever the old saying is, and it just didn't work. And they just dumped so much money into it over and over again, trying to fix it with all these reshoots until it just,
Yeah.
How many times will you go back to a film, do you think, during your lifetime that just doesn't work in hopes of it turning it around?
Ooh.
At least 18.
Wow, that's way too many.
Well, I mean, because I keep wanting to, like, sometimes there are movies that I'll go back to a few times and like, oh, is it going to be better this time? Oh, nope, still terrible. Still's not working. So, I mean, I'm including like all movies in that, like 18 occurrences.
I'm trying to think. Final Exam is one of those early 80s slashers for me that it took at least for some reason I kept going back to it to give it these second, third, fourth, fifth chances before I finally went, it's all right. It takes its time and it moves a little slow, but the characters are okay. And I dig the whole thing about we don't know who the killer is and why they're doing what they're doing. There's maybe a little sliver of a hint thrown in there, but it doesn't explain anything. And I don't know. But it took a few tries before I was like, yeah, it's all right.
I, after many, many years, revisited Madhouse, a film that I've never been able to connect with. And I got the Blu-ray as in a trade or something. I don't know. And that movie still sucks, period.
I do that with Freddy versus Jason, because I think like that movie is the beginning and the end have always been good for me, but the middle has always been shit. Yeah. And I keep, every now and then I'll rewatch it and like, maybe I'll feel differently about it, right? No, the whole Laurie's still a terrible, terrible final girl, and the whole like Jason, like Freddy died by fire, Jason by water, or whatever it is. That's still the worst line I've ever heard.
Especially if they don't follow it up by doing anything with the idea.
I mean, yeah, that's true. They just figure out, let's go to the lake. That's about it.
And I'm afraid I'm gonna be forced to revisit that one soon, because just out of the blue today, driving home from KFC, Jeremy goes, do a Freddy versus Jason live commentary. And I went, oh God. And I let it stay at that. And then like a few seconds later, he goes, do a Freddy versus Jason live commentary.
Oh, you thought he would go forget. Oh
yeah. He doesn't forget anything. So
I don't hate that movie as much as many people do, but my expectations, I for years didn't want that to happen. Like people go, oh, they've been trying to make it for years. I'm like, I hope they continue to try and make it for years and years and years and that, because I never thought it would work. And when I saw the final film, I was like, well, you know what? it's dumber than a stick, but it at least pulled itself off, and the advertised title was actually in the movie, which I was really thinking wasn't going to happen. I really thought they were going to skirt the idea of like them fighting to the death and one actually winning. So
I'm just
a
glad
little bit more forgiving, I guess, but it's definitely not a great film.
at least Freddy didn't turn into a Christmas tree in the version we got. Okay, y'all need to be thankful for that. Woo!
It's true. There are some great writers who's turned in horrible screenplays around that concept through the years too, and I mean legitimately great writers. And
Yeah,
no
Goyer,
one could nail it.
That was Goyer's script.
Yeah, Goyer handed one, and David J. Shaw,
yeah.
Who keeps getting he's just a glutton for punishment from Hollywood. He's a great writer who just ends up having his work just destroyed every time, except for that Creepshow television series. They're the only ones to do him justice so far. But you know what's really funny about that is that the discussion about Freddy vs. Jason, people have eventually always turn to Ronnie Yu. It's all Ronnie Yu's fault. He's a horrible filmmaker. But yet the funny thing is, like, Bride of Chucky brought that series back from the dead.
It really did. Like, it made me a Chucky fan.
In a big way.
The use of color is lovely. And I mean, overall, I still love Bride of Chucky. So, dude, the fuck y'all hating on Ronnie Yu for? Directs 2 movies with 3 huge franchises in them.
I blame Ronnie Yu for the Frankenstein Jason, and I'm sure he's the guy who came up with the water idea. Well, if Jason died in the water.
I don't know about that.
I have a feeling they were just borrowing from every screenplay because they probably owned everything that had ever been turned in. So they probably were just like, oh, well, there's those 2 lines from this I liked and that. But the big thing about this I'll never understand. Like, Ronnie Yu, I think, is actually a very good filmmaker. I think that he was not the appropriate choice for a film that was bridging 2 long-standing franchises. He was just a bad choice. He didn't have any love for either series particularly, but he at least understood the fantasy aspects of Freddy. But he was too close too. That's the other thing. The movie doesn't take chances. Freddy had turned into a giant snake in one film, so we'll turn him into a caterpillar in this one, right? And I think it's weird because you get people who are big fans of the film and they sit there going, oh, but the Cornfield Massacre is great. I'm like, really watch it again. It really isn't. I love the idea of it, but it's brief. It's pretty anticlimactic, and I don't know. It's not the big Jason takes on a field full of teenagers that have seen that you want. It's not that. So I think it's a studio pick through and through. I think there's 16 producers on that film too. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
It's messy, it's big, it's bloated, but at the end of the day, we got a long, bloody fight between 2 characters that really, that's probably the best fight we're ever going to get between them. Now, the story up to that point, not going to defend, but whatever. I can't find myself to hate it. And again, I have that bootleg of a recording of the film from the Bronx with all the audience participation from opening night. It is the best way to watch that movie. The electricity in that audience, in a very riled up, somewhat drunk urban audience.
It's still the only movie I was ever turned away from the theater because it was sold out. It was packed. Still the only movie I've ever been turned away from the theater for. And then when I did see it, which I want to say it was the second weekend, if not the third weekend, the theater was still packed. So
it was a huge success, which is why it's so weird that they just couldn't capitalize on it enough to make a sequel. You'd think they would have made something wrongheaded and dumb and cheap. I will tell you that I'm kind of glad now in retrospect that the versus Ash film never got made.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah.
I would have hated that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just for all the people who think it would have been cool.
Have you? What you? Okay, so all right. I was watching Firestarter Rekindled earlier last week. I'm going somewhere with this. Let me my non sequitur.
This might veer into Tommy Lee's penis, but
Not this time. But I'm watching this scene where it's like Malcolm McDowell and Dennis Hopper trying to out ham each other, and it's fucking that's what you'd get with Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. You would get Robert Englund and Bruce Campbell trying to out ham each other, and I don't need it. It's not well balanced.
Yeah. And both of them throwing cups of water on Jason, and Jason going, ooh, ooh, ooh. So.
I just don't see how. I mean, you already had these two very different characters, and we brought them pretty organically together, which I give the movie massive credit for not doing a big concept thing. Now they just exist in the same world and they come together. Whatever. Smartest move, because any gimmick was going to look bad. But now you're going to throw Ash on top of it. What, he's going to throw? He was going to appear through a portal at the beginning. I'm still traveling through time and space. Yikes.
Cool.
Yeah, no.
Maybe he can travel in dreams now. Yeah, sure. Why not?
The Plymouth falls out of the sky, Ash on top of it.
It's true. That's Marvel Phase 4 right there. The big bad.
Yeah. I don't know. I do think that it kind of, just as and Piz, you probably will appreciate this, just as the Friday the 13th franchise kind of paved the way for long-running franchises in general. Because yes, there was James Bond, and yes, there was Godzilla. And earlier, much earlier, you had the Dead End Kids and all that stuff in the 20s and 30s. But in the modern era, sequels were kind of a rare thing until specifically the Fridays were like, we're gonna put one of these out every year. You know, that was really a very new concept. And but then the series had this huge impact. I don't think you'd have something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe without Freddy versus Jason, to prove the concept that you could take things from different places, put them together, and audiences would understand. You'd have to trust the audiences to just, you're going to get it, right? For good or for bad, I think that Freddy versus Jason is a very influential film. And, you know, Robert Long is pointing out that, you know, the next year they made Alien versus Predator. Yeah. And if you don't think that was, like, you know, greenlit and rushed into production because of what happened that summer. Yeah.
Definitely. I also enjoyed the first Alien versus Predator. Not the perfect movie, but I liked it.
It violates one of my Alien rules that the Alien franchise continues to violate, which is that the first film, right, which should be sacrosanct, right? It should be like, what's in that movie is hard. You can't bend it. So if one drone,
like Tommy Lee's penis,
exactly. Although we're not going there. If one drone alien can wipe out an entire crew on a space ship, right? Well, if you add aliens, it should be that to that many power, right? But at the end of Alien versus Predator, it's like a girl with a spear versus a queen.
Dude, okay, yes, yeah.
Again, like, let's stop depowering the aliens, please. Can we have them be nasty and vicious? And if you're going to take one out, it's going to take some sacrifice. I mean, there's two films that got that right, you know, and the rest of them all get it wrong. And I like the alien as a big monster that's a big bad, and he's tough and resilient. I don't like what they've done with the Predator thing since day one, but I don't care very much about the Predator franchise at all, so I don't really care. I just think it's bullshit that they say in all the sequels, oh, they're noble. Did you watch the first film? It's not noble. It's not. Stop.
I lost the game. I'm going to rage quit and blow up everybody.
It's like a third grader, like, they put a checkerboard in front of it.
I win after all.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. It's like Cowboys and Indians, and then it's like, I shot you. No, I have a force field.
Well, speaking of that, you know, in the next Predator movie, a 14-year-old Native American girl is going to take out the Predator, so there you go.
Yeah, we got that that teaser dropped. Was it yesterday, day before, something like that?
Yeah, Lord,
everyone thought those rumors weren't true.
Your birthday's shaping up to be such a banger between Prey and then They/Them. I think they're both on August 5th.
Great.
Wow, that's one hell of a birthday, Lauren. Damn.
Lauren's birthday bash.
Wow. Them's probably not going to happen. I see they're either going to have to really come out and explain what that movie is and what they're trying to do with it, because I mean they've got like nobody is responding well to that movie
Because
or
they're
to that premise. So I mean,
because it's only it's just like I don't understand the problem. It's like isn't the point of they/them is that gay conversion camps are bad? That's the villain, right? I mean, yes, yeah. I mean, obviously you're going to have people that are that are LGBTQIA plus 2S that are getting killed in the movie, but that's like the point that's part of the idea of pointing out the horrors of gay conversion therapy, which I'm like, why are y'all mad? I don't know.
If you followed that thread, which I could only read so many of those tweets because it was just giving me a headache. Half the people were like, this is too woke, I'm not going to watch it. Another half of the people were like, like they had no idea what a slasher movie was, or that there'd never been a gay character in a slasher movie, or a gay character that died in a slasher movie. So I mean, it was just a big freaking mess.
Yeah, I think the title is actually a cute play on words, and I mean, I'm probably not really going to be into the movie that much, but just make it as inclusive as possible. It's fine. Like that's where you're like it's pretty much upfront with what the movie itself is. So if you're going to do it, just go whole hog. But I don't understand like okay, so I'm a woman, but the horror genre has an entire subgenre of rape revenge films. We don't all like watching rape scenes, even if we get revenge in the end. We can just not watch them. I usually just, no, I'm pass. I'm good. It's cool. But I don't go and expect like fucking studios to like fucking pull their rape revenge movies like they have like no, the story has no merit and it cannot exist. I'm like, what's y'all's problem?
I Spit on Your Grave, the cruelty-free version.
It's 5 minutes long.
Didn't see it.
It's just the last act.
I just avoided all the spit. I avoided Spit on Your Grave. I saw Last House on the Left and thought it was going to mess me up, and I was like, this is actually kind of goofy.
I think Last House is a film that was really effective in its time and place, and unfortunately, the world has just gotten to a place where it's never going to have its power back. But I think it's a great film.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Hey, there you go.
But the only thing that confuses me, I don't care about they them at all. I probably will never see it, but I don't know, a Blum slasher film. Why wouldn't I sign up for that? No matter what the concept is, I can't imagine.
Is that a Blum slasher film? Is they them Blum? Is it?
It has to be, right?
I don't know. I didn't look into it.
Are we calling them Bumhouse or Blumpkin House? Because I really wanted Blumpkin House to be a thing.
But
after Firestarter.
I don't understand why any company, though, would release a movie that they know is only going to play on the coasts.
Tax write-offs, I guess.
They/them?
Yeah.
You think it's only going to play on the coasts?
To make any real money? Sure. You have to understand the whole business model for exhibitors right now is 4-quadrant. They don't make anything off the first week, so they have to have a lot of freaking people show up for the concessions and for, spillover. This is not going to do that.
Do we even know that it's getting a theatrical release? I thought it would just be streaming. If they're doing both, I don't know why they'd only do streaming.
If it's doing streaming, then it's fine. They're just going to have to watch the budget because streaming has a problem about recouping past that like $9 million budget point. So unless it has Ryan Reynolds in it, then it's fine.
Well, abs.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's the ab bump.
The ab bump. But I do think there's a strong part of me that wants them to be able to make whatever they want. And if someone wrote the screenplay and it's their labor of love and they can get the financing, cool. But like anything, you put something out there, whether it's a book or a movie or a poem or a song, you got to face the fact that once it's out in the wild, you can't control the narrative about it. So if you're going to be all precious about people criticizing your work, then be careful. Be real careful.
Yeah.
Ben Grimm says They Them is a Peacock movie.
Really? I don't know what is it in conjunction with Blumhouse Peacock then? I honestly thought
I think they're strictly Netflix at this point, right, for their directs.
Blumhouse? No, I mean they just did Firestarter and that was Peacock.
No, but maybe.
It's, I mean, I'm like
Firestarter
with Hulu and Into the Dark then.
Because the trailer for Firestarter made me angry, so I haven't watched that movie.
Yeah.
A lot of people haven't watched that movie.
It's legitimately like one of the worst movies I've seen.
Wow.
It's really bad. I mean, the CG fire in Firestarter Rekindled looks better. Which, if you guys have a weird fascination with that, y'all could go find it on Tubi. But it's just like because it's all about grown-up Charlie, played by Marguerite Moreau from Queen of the Damned, who I liked her in that movie, but in Firestarter Rekindled, good lord, I'm wondering if she's like got an eating disorder. She's really skinny. But part of the thing with like Charlie and Firestarter Rekindles, like every time she's about to fuck a dude, like she starts like getting like way too hot, she has to go away. And I'm just like, is she still a virgin? She burn off any penises? I bet Tommy Lee could handle that.
There you go.
That was the problem.
He could stand to lose a little bit and he'd still be fine. But
Wedges off the top.
They Them is a Blumhouse production. And according to IMDb, they've changed the name from They Then to Whistler Camp.
What?
They've apparently already changed the name.
Oh, you fucking pussies.
From They Them to Whistler Camp.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
So.
Oh. That's
catchy. Everyone will remember that.
Yeah.
So is the slasher then the Whistler? Is that what the whole?
Is this about?
You can make cat calls? Oh wait, I might actually love this. Actually, this might be so stupid. I love it. If like the Jason Cha-Cha-Cha thing, if it's like you hear him whistle like a cat call, where is he? This could be hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I hear you.
What damn, the title was the thing that I was, like on board with because I was like, oh, okay, you're gonna go, cool. Oh. Well, fuck it. Everybody's got a problem with something.
It's true.
And
you know what?
Just complain until they finally they don't release it because it's like they've already gotten their way with getting the title changed.
It's funny. It's like anything can be written really well. No matter what your concept is, you can make something great. The creative spirit has shown that in the past. There's been novels and films and comic books that have been based on the worst premises on paper, but just the writing is so strong and it's developed so right. But I don't trust Hollywood to do anything right. So it's not even about the context of they, them / Whistler Camp. It's just that I don't trust. You come up with a concept that's already making me wonder. Now I just know you're going to screw it up. I no longer trust you're going to do anything good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
So can we spoil Firestarter, please? I have to.
The novel's been out for 45 years, so I think probably.
God damn it. All right. Because I know I saw somebody in the chat, like way at the top of the hour, asking about the ending. Holy shit, it's fucking stupid. Okay. Fucking Rainbird, who like fucking in this version, like he kills I'm pretty sure he's the one that kills Charlie's mother or orchestrates the killing of Charlie's mother. Basically destroys Charlie's whole existence because they decide to reactivate him. And all this shit. Charlie goes through the fucking DSI facility, killing people left and right. Like and also this bitch is like, I guess, like is telepathic and a little telekinetic. So it's fucking Jean Grey. This is not a Firestarter movie. So she's going through the facility and killing everybody because her dad's dead at this point. Spoilers. Sorry, can't help you. And Rainbird, because the goal of Rainbird, he wants Charlie to kill him. That's been the goal all along for the most part for him. And she doesn't kill him. I guess because she doesn't want to give him what he wants. So she fucks up this whole place, kills all these people, lets him live, wanders out, goes and sits by like a lake or whatever. And then he comes up and he stands over her and she takes his hand. He picks her up in his arms and they go live happily ever after with the man that murdered your family, you dumb bitch. I'm done.
Wow.
So let me ask the only important question the only thing anyone cares about as far as spoilers. Let me ask it. End credits. Do they use the Prodigy song?
No. Why would they give me anything I want?
They couldn't afford that.
The guys from Prodigy, believe me, could probably use the cash at this point. It wasn't like there was a string of hits afterwards.
Oh, a cat dies in it, though, and it's actually really funny.
Oh, cool.
It's just like this cat scratches or bites her, and she's just like, fireball. Hadouken!
Oh, well, she blows up is it a squirrel in the trailer? I thought that was a really odd thing to try and put in a trailer. Like, oh, let's watch this sympathetic movie about this young girl we care about. Oh, look, she killed an animal.
I know. It's like, what? How am I supposed to get behind her? She's just like, it's so bad.
But that one had all the red flags that it was going to be bad. Because the trailer looked awful. The trailer looked like it was an X-Men movie, not a Firestarter movie. And then after that initial trailer, there was no promotion for the movie at all. The biggest promotion for the movie was, hey, we got John Carpenter to do the score. And I've even heard that the score is not even good.
And it was probably his son anyway.
Yeah. So and to dump it, and they're like, that's like, when was the last time there was a day and date release? They've almost completely done away with that, but they'll do a day and date for this one, and they'll release it the week after Doctor Strange too. So
yeah, well,
it just had every red flag that this was a complete turd.
They know. Really, people who don't belong to AMC's A-list or Regal Cinema's Crown Club, they didn't see it.
Yeah.
This was exactly the kind of movie that you'd go, I kind of can't resist the draw of horrible, but I have that pass. I don't have to pay for it. It's just gas. But
Exactly.
When gas is $5 a gallon, maybe that hurt it too.
Yeah.
I did like the fact that they do focus on like coping mechanisms for Charlie's anxiety, so she's able to keep her power kind of like under control, right, from letting it spiral out because anxiety will trigger it. And so they actually had like anxiety coping mechanisms, like, identifying things in the room. I was like, oh, that's nice. It's a nice touch. That's one thing out of 100 others that are wrong with it. So
maybe there could be a crossover event with the next Carrie movie.
Don't. She's like a less autistic Carrie in this. That's about it.
I think we're at that point now too, where we're in the downslope of the Stephen King thing, because there for a while everything Stephen King was like huge, with it, and then It Chapter 2 came out, and then there was the Dark
Castle Rock, excuse me.
Yeah, and it seems like there was something else Stephen King
Gunslinger.
Yeah. And then and now this, and then we got the Salem's Lot remake to look forward to later this year. So I think I have less hope for that than I did this Firestarter movie, honestly.
Yeah, that has been unbelievably lucky as a novel to be. The Hooper miniseries, specifically the miniseries version, not the reduced, movie length version, is pretty much as good an adaptation as King ever received. And then the miniseries, the more recent miniseries, was way better than anyone thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they're tempting fate on this thing a third time.
I don't. Yeah, third time's not going to be a charm, I don't think. Hopefully I'm wrong. I love Salem's Lot. I love the Hooper, miniseries, and the one with Rob Lowe, I thought was, like you said, it was really freaking good.
So much better than ever. I had no hope for it, but It's way better. And I was kind of watching it with my arms crossed too, going, okay, screw up, you know. And so suddenly, about a half hour, and I'm like, they haven't screwed up anything yet. What's going on?
It did like there's Rutger Hauer as Barlow, you know. How
Uh,
can you go wrong? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of a shame because in a way, like it's a great read, the novel, but for an early King novel, it's kind of a little lazy compared to the other ones. It's kind of just Dracula, but man, it has had a little, just great life, and I guess that even that Larry Cohen sequel couldn't even really derail my thoughts of it having a great track record. So.
Mm.
I don't know. I wish they'd just leave King alone for a while and, you know, move on to some other writers. I mean, we are getting the Joe Hill adaptation in a couple weeks? When does that come out? When does Black
Black
Phone
Phone.
come out?
It's sometime soon, I think.
So his son's adaptation comes out soon. So that's cool. Like that someone else is getting the turn. But again, it's Blum, so my radar is like, okay. But
at least I'm interested in Black Phone, and it seems like I'll probably have a good time watching it. So I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Just sometimes it's painful.
How smart has Ethan Hawke been about threading the needle in the last few years into the society, knowing that he'll never be that blockbuster Tom Cruise level actor, but finding his place in Hollywood and being relevant. That's just amazing to me.
Well, I think he's done that twice, because I mean, back in the day, I mean, he was like the Before Sunrise, Reality Bites. He was like the indie cool guy doing all these little movies, and then he tried being in like bigger movies, the blockbuster stuff, and really the only one that stands out to me from that period is Training Day, which I mean, Training Day's pretty darn good, but like the Assault on Precinct 13 remake, I don't remember a whole lot about that.
It's not as bad as you probably would suspect. It has a lot of great little character actors doing little character actor things to distract you from the fact that it's not the Carpenter movie.
Yeah. I remember it not being bad, but I don't remember very much about it specifically.
Have you seen Cop Shop yet?
No, not yet.
Brillo? Oh my God, it's so good.
Okay.
It's the best action film in years, so you need to check it out.
Okay.
Everyone gets shot multiple times in that movie, and that's not a spoiler.
I have to make a note of it. I remember you talking about it not long ago, saying it was good.
For me to be pointing out a modern action film is something that people need to see.
It says it's available for premium subscribers for Peacock, not premium subscribers for Precock. Wow.
Premium sounds like it was that Tommy Lee solo album. Premium.
Premium Precock.
Nico has a question for me, but it's for all you guys. Thoughts on Mill of the Stone Women. Also, finally tracked down Bava's co-directing debut, I Vampiri. Really looking forward to it. Have either of you guys seen either of those?
I have not, but I do want to mention that I did watch The Spiral Staircase the other night, and I liked it a lot.
So good.
Yeah,
like a stone cold classic, right? I mean,
has Carpenter or anybody ever mentioned that movie? Because I mean, that was
Landis and for me to say something nice about Landis, but Landis has name dropped it, and so has Dante. Dante fairly regularly, actually.
Okay.
It's the guys who really love old Hollywood. Spielberg's actually a big fan.
Because it's got a lot of slasher tropes in it that, like,
it is a slasher film. Isn't that great?
Well, I mean, yeah. So yeah, I liked it a lot.
Written by the great Ethelina White, who I'm on my tear about making sure everyone realizes there was, in the first half of the century, horror was dominated by a great woman writer who we've all forgotten about, whose work was adapted by Hitchcock and of course, The Spiral Staircase, which was huge in its time, but now is like no one gives a crap except people like me. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. You have to review it on your channel, even though your audience might bat an eye at it. I don't know. It's so worthwhile to be discovered, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I liked it a lot, and again, it was fun to point out those, lot of, I think people would be surprised, like, watching it today and going like, wow, when did this come out? And there's, so
that tracking shot of our main character walking up to the estate for the first time, and it takes you a moment to notice that the killer is stalking her on camera because it's all shadowy, but he's right there. It's like, oh my God. Stuff like that is so good. And the end of the film, man, that's like some April Fool's Day type of revelation of the killer and plot, and or happy birthday to me without the stupid nonsense. But and I love Spiral Staircase. As I was sick, that was one of my comfort movies, and I was screaming to you guys, and then like you and Christian, I think both bought it. Which
Stone watched it too.
Yes, yeah. Stone watched it as well. Yeah, I knew Stone would love it though. That's because he loves old Hollywood. So, but still, the Mill of the Stone Women. It's one of those films that I think over the years, if you rented it back in the day, it was in a big box, but which made it look like this like exploitation film, but it really isn't. It's not going to be for everyone. Got to have some patience with it, and even if you have patience with it, it has its flaws. It does have a really cool atmosphere, like a lot of movies of that time. That whole like 1959 to 1964 period where horror was trying, it knew that they didn't have to be like the classic monster movies anymore, but they hadn't figured out like really where it was going. So it's a time period that where it's like there's a lot of influences from French cinema and from just avant-garde art world invading. It's a cool film. It's not going to be something that people start like screaming as an undiscovered classic, though. As far as Bava's I, Vampire, have a little bit more patience with it. You're going to definitely see the visuals of a great filmmaker emerging, but it is not Planet of the Vampires. It is not Black Sunday. It's not Evil Eye, which I just rewatched. The first Shallow. That's the AIP title, of course. The Girl Who Knew Too Much was the original Italian title. And watching it, it's so amazing. Like Dario Argento's Tenebrae just gender swapped the hero and basically remade the film. Both of them even have John Saxon in them. I mean, it's ludicrous how much those two films have in common. But Bob is one of my absolute favorite filmmakers of all time, and you look at his high points, and it's hard to imagine someone today having as many high points. Because we talk, just like we talked at the beginning about Raimi, we all can talk about the great Raimi films from the beginning of his career that we all hold so close to our chests. But his legacy is starting to sandpaper down for a lot of us, I think. Mm-hmm. How many times can you watch Evil Dead 2 in your life? I mean, before you're like, I know every beat, every moment. I know all the shots where you can see the set because they didn't crop the film properly. Bava doesn't have that movie. His worst film is still hugely influential and basically birthed the slasher subgenre. And that's his worst film. So. Yeah. I'm sorry. Nico asks questions we always have to answer. It's a roll around here. Anything else you guys want to talk about tonight?
Not talk about, but I didn't get a chance to mention it on Twitter, but I watched Valentine from 2001. Oh gosh, a few days ago, and man, that's a nice little jaunt. I like the fact that it's 2 hours because I really think it needed to be 2 hours. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But if anybody hasn't seen it, I'd recommend it because it's always nice to go back and give it a little rewatch here and there. Mm-hmm. I had to get the taste of American Psycho 2 out of my mouth.
Well, Denise Richards in a hot tub will help.
I love the bottle murder from that movie, and I don't remember much else except the very end. Jake is saying, speaking of Argento, I saw Dark Glasses today and, quote, it's a movie. I actually just spoke with someone about this. It's not looking good, friends. But I'm going to wait till I see it before I cast judgment. And I feel like I've said this before with Argento.
Where is it available anywhere? I've seen people post about a German Blu-ray, but is it available to watch anywhere?
I don't think there's a version with subs that's legally available yet, and that's what I'm waiting for. I think there's Italian versions, and I think you're right. I think there's a German/Russian toggled subtitle version too. I don't know. Do you have anything else you wanted to spit at people?
I hate to hear that about Argento. I did go back and rewatch recently The Card Player and Sleepless, because I hadn't seen The Card Player, and I liked it enough to go back and revisit Sleepless. And Sleepless is fine. It's about half an hour too long. It didn't need to be 2 hours long, I don't think. But other than that, it's not bad. So I hate to hear that Dark Glass is just probably not very good.
Yeah. I think that whole period, whereas all of Argento's later okay movies, whether talking Sleepless, Nansohano, or even up to Giallo, it's not as bad as its reputation. But the problem is, it's not in the Argento level of good.
Right.
And I mean, these aren't films that if it had a different director credit on any of these movies, you would never have revisited it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
But Nansohano, Sleepless, has one of the best scores in the entire Argento canon. So there you go.
Yes, the score was really good.
Oh, it's exceptional. So I you know what? That's what he should do when he makes kind of mediocre later films, is just spend the money on. You probably don't even have to spend the money. He has so many fans. Just go out there and find prog rockers and be like, dude, put together a score for me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I mean, they'll do it, right? Who's gonna say no to that?
I don't.
I bet you could get Tool to write a soundtrack to an Argento film if they just asked them. Hey, Maynard, you have a weekend?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm putting that out to the universe.
Jake says it's not Dracula 3D or Card Player bad, but it isn't even as good as Sleepless, in my opinion.
Nothing is Dracula 3D bad.
No, thank God it's not Dracula 3D bad. But I like The Card Player, so I don't know.
Again, I think it's fine, but I never want to go back and watch it again.
Right? Yeah. I may never rewatch it, but
the biggest tragedy of late Argento, though, remains Mother of Tears.
That one's okay with me. I mean,
it's that trilogy, man. It's such a bad way to end that trilogy.
That trilogy should have ended in. I mean, there shouldn't have been that huge gap. I wish there hadn't been that huge gap. Fit that in between, like, I don't know, Phenomena and Opera. That's where it should have ended.
Yep. About the time he was producing The Church, he should have been making that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, I want to thank both of you for coming on and spewing with me for an hour and 20 minutes. And everyone out there in the audience, Dying Breed, Jake, Nico, Dan, who else is out there? Slash Home Video, Chris, Jess Graham's out there somewhere. Jamie was out there. Rock Music 90, Zombie with an X7979, Brock Slock, Daily Ghost, of course, our good friend Daily Ghost. Robert Long with some great comments today, man. I gotta actually throw my hat out to you. I'm not wearing a hat, so it's not gonna hit you.
Wear your headphones.
Monty, let's talk for a minute. Griffin is out there. I'm sorry if I missed anyone, but I can't scroll and run a show at the same time. I'm incompetent. Just how it is. I want to thank all of you. Really cool. Any final words, guys?
Well, if you for Nintendo fans, if you say NES fast enough, it sounds like in the ass. So I hope that brightens your day.
There's no following that, is there, Pez?
My childhood is now officially ruined. I'll never think of the Nintendo Entertainment System the same ever again. Thank you, Sam.
Super in.
Hit that thumbs up if we've ruined your day. Have a good one, guys. See you later.
Sorry, I would have loved to have met you. Maybe next time.
You ain't joking. I didn't do my research, so we'll skip that. Told you about the wise man that said things.